So at this point with your hem band, you should have it quartered, and you also should have the body of your sweater quartered as well with the pins. And right now you can see that the body is a little bit bigger than the actual cuff, so it's hard to pin this section. So what I like to do to pin, I'm not actually going to sew anything. I'm going to, actually, it's better from this side. So I like to actually keep the side that's baggier, the larger side on top, and I just put my presser foot down, put my needle down, and then I'm going to stretch it just a little bit, make sure my edges are matching, and then I can put a pin in. So this is 1/4 of the sweater, so I'm going to add a couple more pins in to make sure it doesn't move as I go to sew it. And then I'm going to put my needle down again at the next corner mark, presser foot down, needle down. And again, this piece is a little bit bigger, so if I stretch it, having the machine needle pulled 1/2, making sure my edges of my fabric are lined up, I can pin quite easily without feeling like I need 3 hands or somebody to help me with pinning. So you're going to continue to do this all the way along. I already started just before the camera was turned on, so I'm going to do this last section. So the piece that's larger, we're going to again just stretch it gently, make sure our edges are matching, and put the pin in. So at this point, once it's pinned all the way around, everything should be evenly spaced in terms of the excess fabric. You don't want to have a bunch of bunches on one side and no bunches on the other side. So just before I go to the serger, you can see how this is going to turn out. It's going to flip over and look like so when I'm done. I like to base things in first because then I can check to make sure that it looks good. And basting is also helpful here because I'm going to be sewing through 3 layers and I want to make sure those edges stay together. So as I'm basting, stitch length 4, and I'm going to baste just slightly inside the seam allowance. So I'm going to do it about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance here. There we go. So as I'm stitching this section, I'm just gently pulling, just making sure the fabric remains flat. You don't want to stitch in any wrinkles, and you don't want to overstretch the fabric. So I find it's easiest if I put my right hand in the front and then my left hand just kind of in the back. And as you get close to your side seam there that you pinned so that it would match, you're going to use your hand wheel, just go really slow, and then you can take out that pin just at the last moment to make sure those seams stay matching. Don't worry if your basting is 100% straight at this point because you're going to go back and serge the layers together anyway. So just continue giving it a gentle pull without overstretching, pulling it just enough so that it's flat and no wrinkles are going underneath the presser foot. Again, when we get to a side seam, you can use your hand wheel. And if you stitch so far that it's hard to get out the pin, just keep your needle in the fabric and then lower your presser foot back down. Lift up your presser foot, lower it back down, and then you can continue sewing. So after I've basted this together, I'm getting back to the start here. I'm going to look on the outside and make sure it's nice and evenly distributed, and that I don't have a bunch of wrinkles in one half and flat sections in the other half. So flipping it to the right side, This looks nice. You can see that it's sort of evenly gathered around. This side also looks nice, and if we look, our side seams here are matching, and that's what you want. So if you're happy with it after you baste it, then you're simply going to go to your serger and you're going to serge around. Now when you serge around, you're going to be serging in a circle. And when you're serging in a circle, you're going to make sure that the majority of your fabric is off to the left-hand side of the serger. And I like to serge, it doesn't matter where you start, if you just lift up the presser foot, you can start wherever. And I like to serge with the side that was a little bit bigger on the top. So as I'm going, I'm cutting off a very small amount. The side seams are a little bit thick, so just go a little bit slower over the side seams. As I'm serging, I'm also keeping it just gently stretched. Okay, you want to be careful with overstretching, but this is not stretched enough. You want it going flat into the machine. If it goes flat into the machine, then your serging will look nice when you're done. At the end of serging in a circle, you're just going to overlap a few stitches. And once you can see in the inside there when it's overlapped, then you're just going to turn your fabric and serge off. And at the end, I would probably go back to my iron and press my serging upwards towards the neck to get it nice and flat. If you like, you can also do a bit of top stitching around the edge with a double needle if you're interested in that look. So this is how you apply a hemband or a cuff to a garment.